Get up and just kind of, work on me. What am I listening to? What am I consuming? What am I working on? We have a lot of exciting, crazy stuff going on, as well as a lot of goofy stuff that we have to deal with in business. A lot of people are stuck in the mud with the past. Acknowledge it, forgive it. Like there's nothing you can do about it. But now what am I going to do moving forward? I think when you make a commitment to the world, the universe listens and it bends to your reality, right? So obviously you got to work, you got to show up, you got to get scared, you got to go through the bad stuff, but there's a lot of opportunity inside of that.
When you stop drinking, people around you, especially when you inspire people, you don't even know about it.
So 100%.
By you drinking, I'm getting goosebumps, you're giving permission to other people drinking, and they're not on your level.
I've never met anybody ready for success. It just happens. Like we create success through daily constant action, and it's not pretty most of the time. The problem is it's not social media worthy because it's not pretty most of the time.
Welcome to Mastering the Inner and Outer Wealth with your host, Jarek Tadla, where we dive deep into the art of building freedom from the inside out. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies, real-life success stories, and expert insights to help you master your inner wealth and create the life you've always wanted. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Mastering Inner Wealth and Outer Wealth podcast. Today I have a guest, my friend, Mark Evans, with the DM family. And I never knew when I read this, I just realized it's a DM. It stands for deal maker.
Yes.
It's the author of the 12 books. And the last, no, not the last one. The last one is the Magic and Investors Mule. I do want to talk about this book. What is the last book that you just did?
Me Economy.
Me Economy. Yeah. What is this book all about?
Which one? The Me Economy. During COVID, back then, everyone was focused. The uncontrollables, they're freaking out. And it's like, it's all about the me. You got to get selfish to be unselfish. So it's like, let's write a book about, it was total chaos going on. I'm sitting there, I got the, I had the gun on the desk, everything's going crazy. And just like focus on me. If I get better in this moment, everything else around me is going to get better. So I can't control what the government says or this or that, but I can control all my steps when I wake up, what I eat, who I hang out with, and what we do. And it's really me, right? So happens too, it's my initials, Mark Evans, right? So it's always the me economy, no matter what. But I think a lot of people's got to take stock of where they're at and what they want and address accordingly.
But you wrote 12 books. Like, why? You love to write?
I absolutely hate writing. The reason I write the books...
That's why you write it, because you hate writing.
Yeah.
So we got to do something uncomfortable every day. So Mark wakes up, it's like, today I'm going to write a book.
Exactly.
How long it takes you to write a book?
Well, I actually have a third-party ghostwriter as well help me. But, years.
Oh, they live with you.
Yeah, it's almost years. Plus now with, chat and all that stuff, I guess you could write it way quicker. I haven't done that yet. But it takes me years because it's more of the idea to come up with, and then I'm looking for the lessons in real life, and then just put it together.
Okay, we talk about this book, The Magician versus Mole. Mm-hmm. So we talk about the parents' mindset, because we clearly it's funny when we have Laju said that you're the black sheep in the family, and it's funny I'm the black sheep in the family. Even though we're successful, people think that if you're a black sheep, it's something that you go against. This is something bad, and for us it turned to very positive.
Yes,
but our mindset is completely different. So my family and my long-term friends is they still think there's something wrong with me. So I'm like, yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah. And
so where did it switch? The mindset switch? It was something like extreme happen, something like a hardship, or how does?
Yeah, I grew up in a trailer till I was 10. My mom and dad are amazing human beings. They work really hard. Small town 30 minutes east of Columbus, Ohio. And I just remember sitting them watching them play Bill Roulette. They'd come home at night. We'd be in the kitchen in the trailer. They'd throw all the bills on the table, and whatever they pulled off, that's the one they paid, and threw the rest in the trash. So great people. They fought, and when they fought about not having money. So at a very young age, since I can remember, truthfully, I was always thinking about how to solve the problem. Get money. The problem's the money. How do we get money then? And I was doing lemonade stands, garage sale. I would do anything to make money as a kid. I just was trying to help. And back then it's you're giving them $2. I hope this helps. But I was always thinking about problem, address, discover the problem and solve the problem. And that was money or lack of.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So at what point, because now I know you and I know that you give a lot of your time and you're there about serving and giving the community. at what point you just realize money is not the answer?
Again, that's an interesting question. I think money is a tool, not the answer, right? It's simply a tool. So I think I had to shift from money, as opposed to like steward it, be a tool. And I started looking at money differently and treating it accordingly. You know, when I was everyone acts like, oh, I'm not a slave to money. Pretty much most people are slaves to money, right? And it's like, you know, but you have to acknowledge it. And it's like, okay, what am I getting money for? A lot of people don't even know why they're getting money, especially when they have a lot. They're just getting more because that's what you're supposed to do. As opposed to, like, I always talk about the giving muscle. I started discovering the giving muscle probably 20 years ago, like, just give a little bit. You know, I had to open up that door. It was scary. I gave $1,000. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose everything. And I had plenty of money. It was just a different muscle group that I had to start working on. And that's when I started really discovering, you know, money is a tool. It's not a thing. It's just a thing.
It's funny. If people come to me and they always say, hey, you know, if I have the money, if I have the $100,000, I'm going to give 1,000. If I'm going out there too, I'm like, dude, if you have $100, you don't give $10. It's when you have 100, you're not gonna give 1,000. It's like you gotta start like immediately, and it's not if because then it's suddenly when you have $1 million, we usually overspend. There's a lot of people just live way above the means, and they never have the money to give. So, and it's funny that you said when we're talking that. Every time you just said it when 2020 happened, and you're like, there's a time to work on me, that we have zero control over what's going on outside. When 4 weeks ago, the market, I think we lost $3.4 trillion on Friday on the market, and my friend calls me, he's like, Jarek, like, how do you do the deals like this? The market just like crashing one day. I'm like, well, I don't listen to the noises. How do you turn up the noises in your head?
I don't even know what's going on, truthfully. We were traveling then, so
I wouldn't know either. Why are you calling me and telling me that? I don't need to know this piece of information.
Exactly. You know, like the news, as you know, the news is not real. It's not meant for people like us. You know, it's meant to, you know, scare people, control people. I always knew if it didn't bleed, it didn't lead. And, you know, I stopped watching that stuff 20 plus years ago for sure. You know, my grandmother, I always remember, she was awesome, but she would always wake up with the news on and go to bed with the news on. And she saw the world through a drastically different lens than I do. And it makes sense because she was consuming different information. I honestly don't know what's going on. I'm listening to podcast shows. I'm watching, you know, business documentaries or something, or reading a book. I don't know because, again, I can't control it. You know, I know people talk about the loss of $3.4 trillion. It's not lost. It got transferred. Someone else made $3.4 trillion. You know, somewhere, somehow. So the thing is like, what information are you consuming, and what does it do for you? A lot of people live anxiously through data, like through news. And it's wild to me because it's like, you can't do anything about it. You know, what's your thesis on investing, and make a plan and execute the plan. There's nothing else you can do, you know, adjust accordingly, of course, but a lot of people are controlled by it.
So like on a daily basis, what is your like routine that you have to do it in order to be like right on it, be with yourself? Because like, you know, a lot of people, when there's so much going on, you see, like, I wouldn't know if my friend didn't call me. Because I'm like you. I completely turn off, you know, I read a book, then watch any news or any, and the information I feed is through people that I choose. You know what I mean? And by the way, I listen to you, so. So what is your like routine, something that you stay present in the moment, in the current moment? Because I see, like, I was so impressed when I met you, and then I ran into you in Orlando, and I saw, you know, you create this family, and it's truly family.
Yeah, it is.
And I saw all the kids running. It was like it was like I walked in the Ritz-Carlton and there was a chaos. Like I was like, this is so not Ritz. And then I realized you're doing the event, and it was like I really walked in. And there was like 20 kids running. I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's Mark event. It's like he comes with the family.
Right.
And how do you stay present? Like how do you connect with your kids and your wife? And
I think it's priorities, right? Create present. You know, like sometimes in business, we got to have our priority is business. You got to be present for the business deal. You know, your team struggling, you got to get present for your team, your family, your spouse, or kids. I'm very priority driven. I know a lot of people talk about balance. It's all priorities. You know, it's like, what are you chasing? Why are you chasing? I call it thought auditing. I talk a lot about that in the book too. is where did our thoughts come from? Why do we think the way we think? Who told us to think this way? And so when I'm being present, like, to me, I know this moment is only once and it's gone. And, guys like us, we're very deal making, moving. We're movers and shakers. So I do know that exists. So I'm very conscious of it. But that also means I got to keep it at bay too at the same time when the family's around or whatever. Like you and I, we could be in a huge deal in this room and walk outside and no one would even know. It's like, hey guys, what's going on? Like our family or kids or whatever. But that's what I do. I mean, I'm morning routines for me are very important. Kind of for me, it's a very I wake up early, I do my thing, I work out,
4:44, wakey.
I was up at 3:30 this morning. I was wide awake. I don't know. It was just one of those days where I was just like very awake. But get up and just kind of, work on me. What am I listening to? What am I consuming? What am I working on? We have a lot of exciting, crazy stuff going on, as well as a lot of goofy stuff that we have to deal with in business. So, but again, it's just a moment in time. So we got to acknowledge it and just keep our feet moving, I always say.
I was just driving with my daughter. She got a job in Hamptons in New York.
Oh yeah.
And we took the car, and I'm like, let's go, let's have a road trip.
That's fun.
Me and my daughter, and we have deep conversation. We have those cars that you buy, so so we can.
Those are fun.
Those cars are amazing.
It's awesome.
And we were just talking, and she's 21 right now, and I was always like, I was always workaholic, or I was like workoutaholic. Now I'm a recovering depressionaholic. I was also alcoholic. So we're driving, and she goes like, "What is the stuff that really hurt you?" And I don't even know yet, that you never told me. And that thing hit me. 16 years later, we're driving in a car. We have this conversation, and she goes, "Dad, when I was I think 5 years old, I was waiting because I learned something, the new trick on the bike, and I was learning, I was going to show you. You came, I was waiting in the garage opened, you pulled the car in, and I was ready to show you the trick, and then your phone rang."
Wow.
The phone rang, and then you were on the phone. You were on the phone so long that then I have to go to bed, and I went to bed crying. I was mad that I showed you the trick.
Wow.
And then I forgot, and when later, there was no more thing. And I'm like, I have no idea who the client was. I have no idea if I make on the deal $1,000 or $1 million.
Yep.
It was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. 16 years later, she still got this. There was probably, there's Mark, different things.
That's real.
I'm a father of 5, and we do some stuff consciously or unconsciously because we chase something.
Yep.
And the chase is right here. So, and I know you travel with kids a lot. Like, do you have what do you do so you stay present?
Well, I mean, listen, I have the phone on. Try to hide the phone, right? Because it's good and bad. We are in contact 24/7 with the world. So you got to be very disciplined on the phone. When your kids are around for that instance, I think you're conscious of it. I think once you're aware, you start paying attention a little more. I don't think anybody's 100% perfect on this.
Right.
So I think a lot of people might be watching this like, oh my gosh, I'm messing up. Okay, acknowledge that, but then start getting better. Because there's not much about the past.
How do you cure the moral hangover? Because I still because we do what we do the best way of our knowledge. Like our parents did not do this on purpose. Like my parents love me. Yeah. They did this unconsciously or they did. And even with me, I do a lot of stuff. And as of today, Mark, even I can do something, or even our conversation, I will do completely different. I will do it 3 months, 4 months, because we develop, we evolved all the time. So our conscious level goes up. How do you make sure that you fight with the voices, the moral hangover, I don't know, it's the stuff that the kids explain how.
Yeah, my kids are still young, right? So I haven't had those conversations yet. So maybe I have done this and I don't even know. But one thing I know about the moral hangovers, I can't do anything about the past. I can only do something about now and the future. I think a lot of people, I always call it saying getting stuck in the mud. A lot of people are stuck in the mud with the past. Acknowledge it, forgive it. There's nothing you can do about it. But now what am I going to do moving forward? And the thing is a lot of times people, they know what's going on. They just keep continuing doing it, thinking it's going to fix itself. It doesn't fix itself until you fix the problem. And it starts with you, as you know, all this stuff starts with us. So
I think like we are, Mark, I think we are the biggest assets. Like without us, nothing happens. And we were talking today at the lunch also that I said it's, the inside world, it detects everything what is outside. Because if you are strong inside, there's nothing else can destroy us from the outside. And there's like a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And what is your, when you were through the childhood, do you have any trauma, any hardship that's changed your life forever?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, seeing my grandfather die in front of me, that's a big deal.
How old were you?
13-ish maybe. I was in the nursing home. He was pretty sick, and he raised up and died. Literally, it was wild. I saw my mother. She was very sick when I got older in my 20s. We ended up pulling the plug, and she ended up living, which is a wild story. So I think you got to believe in God. I think God's a very important part to all this. But I always saw, again, I've always had an optimistic outlook about life in general. My parents, like I said, great people. My dad would be out drinking and driving. It was like normal where we grew up, like no big deal. I always remember sitting at home with the babysitter with my sisters thinking, man, how am I going to tell my sisters mom and dad didn't make it tonight? So you think about that stuff, and maybe it made me the leader I am today, because I was thinking worst case scenario, how I'm going to solve it, how I got to step up and be the guy, be the leader of the family. And this is my whole life as a child. Like it was like normal where I grew up drinking and driving. So, and I'm not advocating that, of course, but like it was just like not a big deal. Like a cop would pick my dad up and he'd be like, just get home, Mark. Like, what are you doing? So because they're like went to high school together. It's a very, very small town. So maybe some of that. I mean, that's the most traumatic thing that I can think of. My grandfather, like, I don't know. I have such a positive lens of life happened for me.
What is the mindset? Where's the willing of helping others, the serving? Like this is you think you were born with that, or just does developed through the time, or seeing people struggling with something that is easy for you?
Well, I mean, so when I was 10 years old, we had a house fire as a kid, right? We lost everything. We lived in a camper, a 14-foot camper out back, while my parents refixed it. And I remember the community. They put like a jar at the grocery store, and they raised like $700-800, like strangers. People knew us, but like they didn't have to do that. And that's like a big deal where we come from. So I remember how it gave my mom and dad like hope. Like there's hope. People care. People are watching. So I just felt like if I could figure out a way to be really good at something, and I feel like I have to steward this energy, money, time, because it's not just money, right? It could be time, it could be effort, it could be introductions. So I've always had like, how do I give? How do I, like, going to church giving $20? I thought it was a big deal. I was like showing everyone, like, here's $20, put in the thing. But again, it's like a muscle, it's a journey, and I think people are afraid to experience it because it feels weird giving what you've worked so hard for. And but it is nothing better than giving without acknowledging, like they don't even know who's giving, knowing that you're making someone's life better because you did some work.
I think like I think giving is living. So
yes, you're right.
And the problem is like a lot of us also forget about ourselves because we want to take care of for everybody else, but we forgot to give to ourselves.
And this is true.
And it's a lot of time. Like at least with me, for so many years,
right.
Because I was looking, like I told you, I was looking for validation from outside sources. So I was constantly just giving. But guess what? Then the bucket got empty, and then I have nothing to give. Yeah. So what happened? I was taking my friends on the jet, or I was taking my friends to the game.
Sure.
And they're like, Jarek, I just want to spend time with you. You know what I mean? People actually want us. And then I have a wife. First wife's like, Jarek, I want a divorce. Second wife, I want a divorce. I never got it because I was never present. I was never in the moment. Right. Then finally, my third one, Jessica, you just met. She's like, I don't care about, like, I want you. I'm like, how many times I got to get the signal that I'm not living with the moment? Yeah. You know what I mean? That I got to take care of myself. So how do you feel? Did you ever lose the faith?
No. Like lose faith and like the journey? No, listen, I think, I think, pressure's a privilege. We're constantly learning. I don't know anything.
I love that pressure. It's a privilege. It's a good one.
Because we don't, like, listen, it's It's only thrown onto the shoulders of people that can carry it. It's scary in the moment, but when you pan out and you realize like there's a bigger picture for us where we're going, like I'm motivated by death. I don't know. Death motivates me because it's coming for all of us. I don't use it as like, oh, I can't do anything because I'm getting old. I'm actually doing it because I'm like, I got to move faster because I'm getting old. I got to be more present. Kids are only 8 years old once, 12 years old once. Like it's only once. It's not like I can't, a deal's whenever. The child's at that moment is once. So I've never lost faith. I've questioned it, right? I think you question it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this to me? What are you doing? Like, this is silly, you know? But I do think I think it's a journey, and I think it's one that everyone's in discovery mode constantly. I don't think anybody has all the answers, you know?
You know, we always on a journey and want to get somewhere quicker. And I always tell the quicker you get, it's not a gift, it's a curse.
Absolutely.
Because I love that when we go on a journey, it's the person that we become. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like if somebody even is they're quitting a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Which is that's your book too, also, right? The quitting 9-to-5 jobs and going to the entrepreneurship. I pray for you to get hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, why are you an asshole? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't want you to get too easy because you're going to skip the steps. Yep. You're not going to become the person in order to. So I better for you to lose on the beginning, we'll start losing, hundreds or millions of dollars.
Yep.
So, and it's funny. When you were give advice to somebody to quit the job and go from 9-to-5 job,
Yep.
because a lot of people are very happy.
Yeah, sure.
We cannot change somebody else's life.
Yep.
How would you give advice? Because there's like, I want to quit the job. I don't want to do it. What advice would you give him? And when is a good time to leave the job and start working on the business or entrepreneurship? Or
I think it's different for everybody. Some people function really well under distress, and some people function not so well in distress. I've helped a lot of people on that journey through one-on-one conversations, because I think you got to understand the full picture. It's very easy to say, quit your job. It's amazing. But we forget I'm 29 years deep. You're 30-something years deep. Like it's easier now than it was when we started, for sure. But there's still, but again, it's not even easier. It's just we're comfortable with all the challenges. In the beginning, you're going to have challenges. You're like, I didn't even know it was a challenge. Recently had a guy last week, actually. He's making $150,000 a year at his job. He's also a real estate investor, doing 2 or 3 deals a month. So he's generating several $100,000 net a year. And he's like, I want to quit. And I'm like, well, what haven't you? He's like, my parents. They keep telling me I need to keep my good job. Like, he's worked so hard to get this job, right? He's like, he's making a lot of money for where he's from. So it's like, how much is the job stealing from your future? So there's a point in time when your job is actually taking from your future revenue. And that day he went in and gave us 2 weeks notice. And what's cool about that is his deal volume 3x'd, literally in like 7 days.
Yeah, because now he can concentrate and the focus goes when the energy flows.
Yep.
And so what happened is now he can concentrate on the businesses.
Yep.
So so what about the people that, like my parents, that's why I was a bleak sheep in family, because like you get a job, and I retired at 28, and I was like a high manager either for certain hotels, but I have a back, like I already own like 73 units, but a lot of people cannot afford it. So like your guy, he had a kind of backup, but so many people starts from the beginning, like 20 years old, 25 years old, and they don't have the backup.
Yep.
So when do you make the transition from, because they have to give up the security. But I think the fear, when you really like drowning, this is the best way when you find the answers.
Yeah.
And so what advice would you give to the guy?
I think when you make a commitment to the world, the universe listens, and it bends to your reality, right? So obviously you got to work, you got to show up, you got to get scared, you got to go through the bad stuff. But there's a lot of opportunity inside that. I've never had a job in my adult life. Like I've never had a W-2 since I was 18, 2 days after high school. I bought my first company. So I don't know. I was more afraid of what I knew than what I didn't know in the journey. I already knew what it looked like if you had a job. I saw my parents their whole life, my cousins, my uncles, my brother, like everyone around me had a job they didn't like, but they stayed there because it was security. I didn't want their security because it wasn't very secure in my eyes. So I was willing to bet the farm on myself. I was willing to go all in on me and figure out through the discovery
But
process.
how do we sell it to people? Because a lot of people want that, but they want because whoever's listening, if they want a security, don't get in the business.
No.
This is like we don't close the door from when the door closes, we just open.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like 24/7, and they will never ever stop.
Yeah.
So we just I worked till I was 28. So when I opened the gate, that thing never stopped.
Sure.
So we don't have a rest.
Yep.
So
Well, I think it's everyone wants abs too. How many people are going to actually get abs? Not many. You got to do the work. I think a lot of people want to be you and I do, but it's not for everybody. It's for the bold. You got to step up. You got to go against the grain. Typically, you got to look stupid in front of your family and your friends. You're going to fail. People are going to reject you. If you're not okay with rejection, do not get in business. Like rejection to me is just, okay, new direction.
And when you get into business, also, it's like people that know you, they won't give you the business.
No.
Because you're completely clueless. You don't know what you're doing. And suddenly, when you start being successful, now it's like, I'm like, I don't need you now. Now I have my own clients. Like, I need you when I was struggling. I didn't have a rent to pay. I didn't have bills to pay.
Yep.
That's when I need you.
Yep.
And now I prove myself. I have people that from other people that's helping me.
Yeah. The truth is, I think it's never been easier to learn what business. You and I didn't really have playbooks. We didn't have social media. That's good and bad. But it's like we didn't really have podcast show. We had to go to events. We had to go. I used to go to the library. That's how I learned real estate, through the library.
Yeah.
I'd go and get go through the cards, pull out the card, go get a book, no money down by, whoever. And I'd go take it to the house and I'd read it. And that's how I would learn real estate. And then I had to go to events, Russ Whitney and all these other guys. And it was way more expensive and way more challenging, but that's what we did.
We have the access to everything, like right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the reason like I'm learning, it's because we truly have access to everything.
It's unlimited.
Yeah. And I have to I have a date an hour with Jarek. Mm-hmm. Like every day I have like an hour that I date myself and I take care of myself. So and I look for like, what else can I learn?
Cool.
Where can I learn? And like my question is like when I pray in the morning, God, tell me what I don't know. Mm-hmm. Tell me what I don't know. And it's like, well, you don't know. What you don't know? and it's just never ending.
Yeah.
But me, even like every time conversation, like we have conversation even through the podcast, I'm like, oh, I did not think of that. I did not think of that. How do you surround yourself? Like you create community, you create family.
Yeah.
For guys, like, how do we break through people that proximity is power?
Yep.
We surround ourselves with very good people, and our people keep us, accountable.
Sure.
And I'm out there to just level up,
Absolutely.
and it will never ever stop.
Nope.
I'm broke. I have no money. Mm-hmm. Where do I start?
Right here. On podcast shows, on YouTube. I mean, it's free. Like it literally, I think you have to believe that you're capable of doing more before you start learning what to do. Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of people have a belief system in themselves. They beat themselves up so much about you're stupid, you're dumb, you're a quitter, you're lazy, you're fat, no one's going to listen to you. Why would they believe me? I'm 18. Like whatever excuse you can make. But
I'm too young. I'm too old.
Yeah. It's always, I can't do it now. I have kids. I can't do it. I'll start it when kids get out of school. Oh, I can't now. My wife's sick, or my husband's sick, or my parents. Like it's always an
never
excuse.
ready for anything.
Never. I've never met anybody ready for success. It just happens. Like we create success through daily, constant action, and it's not pretty most of the time. The problem is it's not social media worthy because it's not pretty most of the time. Yeah. So we're only showing highlight reels of the cool stuff and the after effect of 20 years of being in the game. But you got to get around someone that believes in you. Everyone talks about the one, but most people don't even believe in themselves, and you're the one. And if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to. So you got to start working on the belief. And the way to do that is through daily, consistent efforts that's going to give you confidence to believe in yourself. Like, dude, if I show up to this guy's house and knock on the door, he's going to answer it. And I'm going to say something. And then if you say no, he's going to go to the next door, then the next door, then the next door. I'm teaching my kid this right now, my son, to go door knock. I want to teach him that. I think it's an amazing skill of rejection, right? Because rejection is not the end of the world. It's simply a no today, right? Like, no, I don't need. And What did I do wrong? Was it the wrong product match? What, were they in a bad mood? I don't know where they were at in the moment. So, teaching my son that, like, go get 100 no's today. So I think it's like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How quickly do you want to get there? And if you have no money, it doesn't mean you have no value, right? So your value could be your time. Your value could be your connections. Your value could be your insights. And I don't care about how successful or not successful people you're with, but like, that's a valuable commodity. Time for you and I, like, we don't have enough time in the day to do everything we want to do.
And I always tell people, start small.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
what happens is when we start breaking promises, and it really starts within, because when we start breaking promises to ourselves, that's when we start losing trust.
Absolutely.
And then we blame the world. But the problem is that we breaking the promises. So I said, don't make big promises. You want to lose weight. Do not. It's like, well, I gotta lose 10 pounds in a let's say a month or 2 months. No. Don't make those goals. Just make like, hey, you know what? I walk 1,000 steps for 30 straight days. Yep. Just do the little one, something you commit. Like, even like I tell my friends, like, yeah, I wanna quit drinking. Okay, but don't quit drinking for I'm never gonna drink again.
Exactly.
Just quit drinking. Like, hey, this weekend you have something going on, party. You know what? Don't drink this weekend.
Yep. Starts with that.
Dude, I made it, right? So it's just a weekend. Oh my God, it was so hard.
Yeah.
What is it next weekend? Well, nothing. Don't drink next weekend.
Yep.
Or don't drink on Wednesday. And then it's like it's something that you can achieve. It's
powerful.
I was like, shit, I did not drink for like 2-3 weeks suddenly. Like, I can do it.
Yeah.
Or just like when we break promises to ourselves, that's when everything starts going.
Absolutely.
And then we cannot connect with other people because we're scared they're gonna find all the insecurity in us.
Yep.
The weakness, and then we don't look at people's eyes. We don't connect the conversations.
You're right.
I was going to events, and I was always the last one in the room, always.
Yeah.
And when the speaker was walking by, I was like, "Don't look at me! Don't ask me a question." So they're asking the questions. I see like all the hands up, which would be I could ask the best question right now, but I was scared if I asked the question that I'm gonna stumble, I'm gonna say something stupid, or my question is stupid.
Right.
And there's no stupid questions.
Yep.
And it just took the work to build yourself up.
Yes.
And then people want to be around you.
Absolutely.
And I never learned shit from successes. Like, I can talk about my failures for freaking hours.
Yep.
I tell you, successes, like when I passed the Ironman, like, when I finished Ironman, so I struggle for like hours and hours and hours, all the walls, all the voices in your head. And then I go through the finish line and I was like, okay, done. I'm happy for 2-3 days and, 2-3 hours. 2-3 hours, yep. And it's over.
Yep.
And like, what next?
Well, I think you were probably critiquing where you could have got faster, where you should have been cleaner. I don't know about you, but like, I don't feel like I've done anything. I feel like I'm just getting started. If I just get off stage in front of 1,000 people, I'm like, man, I messed this up. I should have said that. I did. It's not like I'm celebrating, high-fiving. I'm not good at celebrating, actually. I'm not a good celebrator. I don't celebrate the highs, and I don't like harp on the lows. We got to keep even keel.
Celebrate, right? The little wins.
I actually get more excited about the little wins than the big wins.
Yes.
Because I know the little wins are what create the big wins. But most people are waiting for the big wins, and they think it's this big moment. Like I just did a post like when I was like, dude, one day I'm gonna have $1 million cash in my bank account. It's gonna change my life. It actually was depressing. It was like it was like actually okay. Now what? Now I got to grow.
I tell my people, like, hey, after you finish Ironman, you're gonna get depressed. What are you talking about? To finish Ironman? It's like, because like you're gonna work for so many years or so many months to do this, and you think it's unachievable, and then you achieve it, and then what next?
Yep.
And then you go through the process, you cannot figure out because everything is like easy. Mm-hmm. And then that's why we in the journey, like, you have a first million, then 2 million, 5 million. It just gets better time.
Yeah.
Or, oh yeah, I just spoke instead of, in front of 1,000 people. Okay, so what next?
Yeah.
It's for me, getting on the stage, Mark, it was the hardest stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My friend called me and he goes, Jarek, I need you to speak on the stage. It's going to be like 500 doctors. Dude, what's wrong with you? I don't speak on the stage. It's like, okay, like, Sam, I have to meditate on this. Like, there's just no way I'm doing. And doctors like, dude, I'm a simple guy.
Right.
Like, I know the money game, I know the real estate game. Why do you want me to talk to about doctors?
Right.
And we talking, and then my inner dialogue goes is like, shit, you don't want to do it.
Yep.
And I'm not comfortable. Like, I'm not getting on the stage, Mark. Like, I'm not. And then I go, okay, I'm going to do it. And he goes like, and we still on the talk. And I go, like, you don't want to meditate? You don't want to give me the answer tomorrow? I'm like, Sam, I'm in, because everything in my head is telling me that I don't want to do it. So it means I have to break.
Yep.
This was the best speech. This was the best, like, I remember it, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then the second, the third, oh, I scrapped something. Oh, I did this. I did this. You know what I mean? It will never stop.
Yep.
And it's funny that you said about, teaching the kids to fail, because I think that we have to teach, and not only kids and everybody around us, of their failures, so we know how to talk with the voices, so we don't become the victim, and when we stay in the moment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we become a victim of the circumstances, but it's not the circumstances, it's the stuff that we project on.
You're right. I always say the art's in the start. You just got to get started. I think one thing you mentioned is very important for everyone to know, and we still deal with this. Your brain wants you to say no, right? Because it's uncomfortable. It's not convenient. Oftentimes, speaking on stage. I remember one time I got asked to speak on stage, the first time ever. I said yes. I don't remember saying yes. I said yes though, and I had to go literally to the bar and get crackers and eat them because I was literally dry heaving. And there's only 80 people in the room. It's not a big deal. Looking back, it was not a big deal. But then it was a huge deal. Every stage of leveling up, you're going to try to talk yourself out of it. And I think that's the difference with success. We don't allow that voice to overtake where we're going, because we know we have to do it to get to that next level. And like you said, it's powerful, man. Like, you get up on stage and you impact these people's lives, and then they give you feedback and all that. Like, I'm like, oh, because that's what they want. They just want to connect. I think we're missing connection.
I brought Jessica, I brought my friends to the stage, I brought Raul, and I really blocked on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, blocked. You know what I mean? I'm talking, and I completely blocked. And Jessica knows me. Raul knows me. My best friend, the other, I was one of my best friends over there. Sam knows me. And they're like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? And the feedback I got, that, oh my God, you were so real. You were like talking from the heart. You were authentic. And we, like, when you stopped, like, you were getting the emotions that, like, everybody cried I have like 500 doctors cry. I have a doctors calling their women, doctors calling their husbands, sir, how long are you gonna be here? Because I want my husband to talk to you.
Wow.
Listen to your story.
That's awesome.
And Jessica, like, or my friends, like, you blocked. And people really think that you just stopped because you were collecting your thoughts because you couldn't, like, hold it. And I'm like, God, like, even this, it just happened.
Yeah.
And then it happened like 3 times during my speech. The third time, Mark, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
This is my speech. I'm not a speaker. I'm not supposed to be here. Yep. But this is the reason I'm here.
Yep.
I want you to listen to the part of my story, and we just go, and it's never, ever, ever is gonna be the best. No. How you, because my saying is, the perfectionism, kills all the progress, or even all the start.
Sure.
How do you deal in your head with the,
Well, I mean, look at me. I'm not, I'm not worried about it. I don't care what anybody thinks about. I know everyone has a problem with starting, therefore I start. The truth is, I'm a great starter, terrible finisher on a lot of stuff. I'm not afraid to go look stupid. I'm not afraid to have misspellings. I'm not afraid to trip or what. I lean into it. When I feel that weird feeling, that means it's a test. Are you going to step up or step out? And
don't overanalyze. He's just saying, guys, he give you all the secrets. Just don't overanalyze shit. Just do it. Yep. Even screw up and just do it and just be out there.
Well, I think you're failing and screwing up by not screwing up. Yeah. Like, that's my thought process, truthfully. Because it's like, you got all these guys, like you said, I had this one guy that was working for me. He's no longer working for me, but he was a perfectionist. He would create these amazing documents about a business, how it's going to run. And his name was John. I was like, John, everything you just wasted 3 months on will never happen in real life in business. But he was so afraid to start, hence why he was working with us on his own path, because he thought this world had to be perfect of execution.
But that's what we do in school right now. That's what we're teaching the kids. They will never use the skills.
Exactly.
You got a subject that really touches me. We never, like, I went through college. I finished schools. I never used any of those skills. No. And then I have my kids 30 years later, and they're learning the same shit in school that I learned 30 years ago.
That's wild.
I'm like, this is not going to, like, the world evolved.
Yeah,
And
big
the
time.
education system didn't.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have kids in school. You just do your own, but you still got to fight. Just follow the curriculum.
There is a curriculum structure, but like the thing is the normal school structure is 8 hours of your kid's time. Yeah. Our structure is 4 hours, and then the other 4 hours we're doing life stuff. Or it could be at the museum, it could be a tennis camp, tennis practice 101. They're excelling at stuff. So it's like, what are you great at? I think the biggest thing, the thing that school taught me was collaboration, but unfortunately school, they call it cheating. I'm in math class cheating. I was good at math, terrible at English. So I was borrowing other English papers and cheating and getting in trouble. So I think the thing is, but again, they strip that from you. They don't want us collaborating. There's no competition in this room. It's all collaboration. Like, you're great at stuff I'm not great at, and vice versa. And oh, by the way, if we're both great at the same thing, well, guess what? It's seasons of life. You might not want to do it right now. I might want to. So I think it's seasonal. I think it's school's a very interesting thing for me. Like you said, I do homeschool, and we will forever. But like, again, it's not convenient. It's not easy. It's not cheap. So, I mean, you could do it cheaper, but like we have a teacher and everything. So it's like, but it's like my beliefs are, like you said, the school system is not evolving, and they're teaching people to go get a job, and it's weird to me for sure.
And then the kids go, and then we don't know how to, they don't know how to face the world, because the world is like crazy. Oh, yeah. And we are responsible to bring our kids to be the adults. Yep. Not the teachers, but a lot. And I was guilty of it. I have 5 kids. I put all of them through schooling, so I screwed this one up. But what happened is I was sending my kids to school for, and they are being taught by the teachers. Yep. Not only they don't want to be teachers.
You're right.
So I can concentrate on my business, and then it's come back. So I have a lot of conversation with people like successful like you, and a lot of times they say, how do we teach our kids the hunger? And our kids, your kids never saw you throwing a bills on the table and picking which one we pay, don't pay.
Sure.
So they never going to have the hunger. My kids never going to have the hunger the way that I have. Coming to this country, selling bottles, being dishwasher, they never going to have it. Yep. So we have to bring the emotion, like bring them how to use our resources and our knowledge, which the kids don't listen to ours. So
well, that's why we need to be hanging out with each other, because my kid, you and I could say the same exact thing. They'll hear it different from you than me. Yeah. Because proximity.
Because Uncle Mark says so.
Exactly. Well, you mentioned.
I told you this 1,000,000 times.
Exactly. But it's timing and delivering, and do they believe the person telling them in that moment? Proximity is power, but it kills power when it's too close as well, right? If you're too close to power, they don't even know it's power, right? I.e. children. So for me on this, I've spent a lot of money and time with like people that, third, fourth, fifth, G4s, G5, generational wealth, massive wealth, billions and billions of dollars. And I always think my ceiling is my kids' floor in life. Hence how I grew up, right? My mom and dad's ceiling became my floor, and I want to elevate that up. I tell my kids their hardest thing in their life that they're going to have to deal with is that everyone's going to tell you the only reason you have what you have is because your mom and dad gave it to you. I think we have to teach them to overcome that through, it's like dad didn't give you 6-pack abs. Dad didn't give you grit. We showed you, we guide you, and yes, we will give you a helping hand, but we're not giving you everything, right? So I think you have to figure out a way to combat that. I think their hunger comes from something different. It's going to have to be channeled through passion, not letting us down, or whatever that thing looks like. It's still a journey, and it's something I'm very, very conscious of. I mean, we're on jets and yachts and, staying at 5-star hotels all the time. So it's like, this is not a normal life. We are very lucky. We talk about this openly as a family, like, what dad had to do to get here, what mom's done to get here. Not everyone is this fortunate. They got to see the other side of this coin too, through homeless shelters and, feeding and all that. We're starting to do that with our son here soon. because he's kind of at the age where he can understand what's going on.
My kids don't connect.
Yeah.
So what happened is when I take my kids with the, they know there's like, if I show them like, third world country, the poverty, the homeless, we go to serve homeless and, nobody, we don't show this on media, but so they know they're going to go home and they're going to this lifestyle.
Yep.
But they really connect with people that are with the kids that are on the same level or even higher, and they see what faith is, what grit is, what love is, what consistency is, what expectations are. A lot of parents, because with those kids they actually connect.
Yeah.
Because it's like, my parents are okay, wealthy, I'm wealthy, so it's like they can connect. My kids, for me it didn't work.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they were like, they knew they just going there to serve, but they knew that they going, to the orphanage or to homeless. They knew that it's like they're going right back to what they used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, they still mad at me when we fly commercial. they go economy, man. I'm like, I'm flying the first class. You not. You going, back there.
That's awesome.
And then every time I see like a reel that the father does this, I'm like, yes. It's like, and I send it to them. It's like, no, I'm not the only one. Like, I earn my shit. Go earn your stuff.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
I think the kid thing is very interesting, man. I think there's a lot to it, But again, I also don't want to be that parent that says you have to be, this is what success looks like for you. I do talk to the kids every night at dinner, like, what'd you fail at today? Because failure to me is not failing. It's learning and growing and winning.
Yeah.
Like you're winning. If you're failing, that means you're moving forward, right? I always think of like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's failing the majority of the time, but he's won many championships. And I can promise you when he's winning the championships, he knows he's failed inside to win. Like, he's like, man, I should have thrown it better here. I should have got He's not like, yes, I'm celebrating. I'm the best. Like, it's not like that. It really is this weird thought process that all successful people I know has. We feel like we don't know much. We got to get, and again, I'm not at seasons of life where we're at, like, we just want to grow and expand more and help more people, So I think it's a journey for sure.
And I hope the journey never stops. And for anybody who's listening, it's like when you do the goals, like you said, I reach $1 million, $2 million. When you set yourself goals that are like achievable, when you reach them, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
Because what next? And it's like, I'm looking for goals like that are infinite.
Yep.
Like infinite game. Like I want to help 1 billion people.
Yep.
I don't want to people go through the depressions. I don't want to people go through the suicide.
Yep.
I almost lost a game to, I almost become a statistic. So that's like a goal that I know that I can never achieve. But the person I have to become,
Yep.
and that's the value we bring, the value we bring to society. And just don't lose yourself. Just, don't become like whatever your job is. That's not your identity.
100%.
Don't your business, because a lot of business people like you, because you're surrounded by old business guys, a lot of guys, the business become their identity. Oh, how do you wake them up? Like, dude, this is not.
The thing is, we can guide them. We can't wake them up sometimes.
Yeah.
I think you got to have a realization that I always talk about goals are checkpoints, not destinations. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're driving down the freeway, you see all those checkpoint markers in the road. I got to get off at exit 61. Okay, but what about all the checkpoints that you had to get through to get to exit 61? That to me is like a life. And to me, the destination is death. And that's could just be the beginning. Who knows, depending what you believe in. But I do believe if you're not adjusting your goals, like $1 million in the bank, blah, 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 blah. If you're not adjusting that as you're getting closer to it, you will be very, very miserable. It actually, when I hit 10 million cash in the bank, I actually became majorly depressed because what got me to where I'm at, it's not going to get me to where I want to go. I had to actually change who I was. I couldn't be reckless and wild and crazy deal making. And I had to learn new skills. I had to hire new people in my circle, right? I couldn't use the same tax advisor. I couldn't use all these same people. I had to change that because now I got to go into preservation. I had to growth mode and differently. I don't have to be, I have money now. I didn't have to hustle harder. I just had to work smarter, and that's when all these things started really like changing for me. And it's still changing, right? There's still levels on levels. But I do think, I think we have to adjust and grow and be around. Everyone talks about peer pressure. Positive peer pressure in our world is very powerful. right? Because if I see you and you're doing better as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a business guy, it peer pressures me into wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah, I always try. I always try to be the dumbest in the room, the less fit in the room. I always look for like the worst father in the room. I'm looking because like nobody is perfect, right? So I'm looking for people that like the next level for me. Yep. And then like, okay, that's like, but it's not a jealousy or enviness. No. It's like hell. That guy inspired me. He did not inspire me in some shit he does here, but he's got this one area that that makes me better. This guy is like, if it comes to spirituality, faith in God, in praying, and his rituals every day. It's like, this is like, I wanna be around you. Yep. I don't wanna. You said that you don't drink like in the last.
I stopped drinking about 3.5 years ago. But life is like a buffet, right? Yeah. I think life is a buffet. It's like, just because the one me, okay, I'm really good here. That doesn't mean I'm great at all these other pieces,
right?
I don't think anybody should. Yeah, I don't think anybody should have worship someone for everything. Anyways,
yeah,
I think that's a weird situation internally. But I think you got to be careful with that. It's like, by the way, I learn a lot from people I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to do that. As well as like, wow, they're really good here, but they could be so much better there. So I'm constantly learning and like looking in the mirror to myself too. Right. So it's like I gotta get better. I gotta become wiser. Hang out with better people. Like,
walk me through your self-talk when you're looking in the mirror.
Shut off the lights. No. Dim the lights. No. Listen, I think we have a lot of high standards on ourselves, and it's easy to think that we can do everything great all the time. I think we got to give ourselves a lot of grace. I think we got to allow ourselves to like. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to, not be the best at certain things at certain times.
But, come on, Mark. When the demons get in, the demons get in. Suddenly they, like the little problem that's a problem, suddenly like the negative talk, the self-talk, it just, how do you control that? How do you...
Well, that's why you quit drinking. That's why you quit drugging. Okay. No, like, again, it's easy because guys like, we don't...
What happened?
Nothing happened. That's what's crazy. Nothing happened except I woke up and said, it's not serving me. That's it. There was no dramatic moment. There was nothing, I didn't do anything bad. I went to an event. I did an event in Columbus, Ohio. My driver drove me back up to Cleveland. I was sleeping. I woke up at like 8 a.m, which is not normal for me, but I was hungover, right? I had some drinks. And I looked at my wife and I was like, I'm done drinking, I think. And she's like, okay. Like, it was no big deal. It was like not like this thing. And I'm like, I'm good. So like the next 2 days, you're still hungover, right? Because hangovers when you're older is not as fun. And
that's what I stopped.
It's rough.
Really is.
And then it's the moral hangover on top of it. I'm better than this. I'm letting my team down.
Yes.
I'm letting my employees. I'm letting my all these people that are relying on me to be the best. I'm letting them all down. Even my mastermind guys. Like I'm leading from the front. If I show up to the mastermind and we're having ragers going on, they're going to follow me because they believe in me. That's why they're there. But like if I'm showing up and I'm like, guys, I stopped drinking. It changes the dynamic of the room. Like we want to be better. So that was it. It was not dramatic. Actually, so to the point, my wife was so inspired, she quit drinking, and it wasn't like a big deal. She doesn't even talk about it. She's probably mad I'm talking about it right now, but it's been almost 2 years for her. She's like, cause she would be like a drinker 1 or 2 times a day at the end of the night. I was more probably once a month. But if I'm in my personality, I'm in the game to win.
Because that's what we are. We go 120%.
Yeah.
So we know we have addictive personality, so we got to pick the good habits.
Yes.
Because, like, this is going to take me to the shithole, to the gutter. So I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yep.
Because, like, even if we do bad, like, with the drugs or alcohol, it's like I could not have a freaking one drink or 2 drinks.
Yep.
It's like, hey, 2 drinks, how you go? We going.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what, and then I have the validation in my head. Well, I do everything 120%. It serves me, so this is gonna serve me too.
Yep.
Until it did not serve me anymore.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I got the biggest hangover, and and I'm like, yeah, that shit's gonna last, and that shit lasted like a week.
Oh wow.
And then 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. And it definitely, but.
I think there's something to it, though. I think stopping drinking is becoming a way bigger thing than we think. It's like back in the day, smoking was a big deal, and then people stopped smoking, and it was like a big deal, and then it became like no one smokes, it's not a big deal. I think drinking's becoming that. You saw Rogan quit drinking, right? Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
I think a lot more people, dude, we want to live longer.
Yeah.
Like we have great lives.
Exactly. I want to talk to you about the longevity because you said that you're investing all the companies with longevity. but I also it's when you people and I don't want to turn this process about alcohol or anything like that, but when you stop drinking, people around you, especially when you inspire people, you don't even know about it.
So 100%.
They, by you drinking, like I'm getting goosebumps. You're giving permission to other people drinking, and
Absolutely.
they're not on your level. And I'm not thinking financially only, but physically, mentally, emotionally. You know what I mean? So they think, if he's drinking and he's got this, like this life that I want, and so I can also drink, but no, you got all the work to do. I started drinking very late. I started drinking when I was 30 years old. Okay.
I was in my 20s, yep.
Yeah, but so I already retired.
Yep.
But that thing screw up so many things in my life. And then I'm going like, every time I don't drink, this just happens, like this happens. Yep. So this was definitely, the wake up call. And people want to live longer.
I do. I think they do. I definitely do anyways, if you're healthy. I think, guys like us, if we're leading, by the way, it's just for anybody. People are watching. Your kids are watching. Your friends are watching. Give them permission.
Leading, Mark.
100, that's what I'm saying.
You don't need a podcast. You don't need to have freaking millions of followers. You don't need to write a books. You truly leading, like it doesn't matter who you are.
Every single person's a leader of someone.
Yes.
Something. So it's like, I don't care. Like if you stop drinking or stop doing this, you're going to make an impact in someone else's life. They're looking for someone to be strong enough to do what they can't do.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like I have a neighbor, he's in his 70s, retired, very wealthy guy. And he came to me, he's like, man, how do I stop drinking? I want to stop. Because I hang out with him and he was like me. But he's in his 70s. I was in my 40s. So he's looking to he's looking for someone to stand up and that he can relate to and like, hey man, I see what you've done. I want to do what you do. And it's very inspiring to me because even if I just help one person, it's worth it. Because his wife, his kids, everyone will notice it as well, right? So longevity is a big deal, though, in this game of life that we're living.
Because we want to live. Like Mark, I know I'm going to live 140, 150. Because now my grandparents are like died when they were like 98 without any of this, and now we have all the awareness, the technology, and the medicine. Everything is changes.
Amazing.
There's a lot of holistic that we don't need. We don't take any painkillers. We don't believe in the Western medicine. It's like everything.
Sure.
So I want to touch a little bit on the end of the podcast, longevity, because you said that you invest. This is like your vision, and why?
Well, I have my mother's very sick all the time, right? She's awesome, but she's sickly. Health is the ultimate wealth, right? Everyone's like, I'm the biggest asset. Then why do you treat your body like shit, every day? Why do you feed it poison? Why aren't you working out? And I'm not talking working out like at the gym 24/7. Why aren't you getting 10,000 steps a day in? That's not hard. Like just walk, get on the phone and walk. A lot of people but again, like, we're starting to understand that we have a little bit of control of our outcome. And if we eat better, work out, hang out, and do the proper things, we'll live better and actually enjoy life a little bit better too. But we are best, like and again, I think everyone should go to like a hospital or a nursing home and sit and talk to these individuals and see like, hey, what is the one, they all wish they would have been healthier. They would have stopped drinking, stopped smoking, stopped, whatever they're doing bad, stop eating fast food every day. Where I'm from, it's what a lot of people do for real. 3 meals a day, they're eating fast food. It's wild. So it's like, do you think that's going to get you to be healthier or worse shape when you get older? The problem is when you have health issues, you don't know you have any issues until you have it.
That's exactly.
Then it's game over.
When I was in the hospital, 6 months, 13 surgeries, after my ski accident, I was telling my wife at that time, it's like, I would give all my wealth away.
Sure.
And I will borrow the money to just be the one before it happened. None of the stuff matter. If you don't have health, you don't have anything.
Right.
And after that, it comes the mental health, emotional health, physical health, everything is connected.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, you have kids? Yeah. So you putting this alcohol to your, let's say alcohol, drugs, or painkillers, and how old is your son, 10, 12, or your daughter, would you give her, if she got a big win and close a big deal, would you give her a glass of wine? Hell no.
Exactly.
So why you give it to yourself?
Yep.
We don't love ourselves.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We think that we're entitled, we're adults, but yet we would not do this to anybody else, especially to our own kids.
Yep.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
But we are little kids inside our body, you know that.
We're all
like
children.
you know, like like we're a kid, and suddenly like we have to become adults so quickly, and we forgot to love ourselves and be playful and just have fun. Because we, by the rules of society, well, I gotta be serious, I gotta make money, I gotta protect, I gotta provide. You know, in this situation, I cannot behave like this. Is this situation like this? But yet, then we go get shit faced. We do all the other stuff. So that's a great thing. Little things you would say to little Mark. How old is your son right now?
He's 9 right now. He's
9.
Yeah, he'll be 10 in August.
So what advice would you give to the little Mark?
No, listen, I think grit is one of the most amazing assets to have as a human being.
How do you learn the grit?
Well, again, we want to give our kids pain, not suffer. There's a big difference, right? Put them through the pain process. Let them work and struggle. They got to learn resistance. Resistance training is very powerful. Training to the brain. Like if someone tells you no, it's not the end of the world. It's just the next step. So I'm like I said, every dinner, what did you fail at? Where do you want to go? What are you mad about? We got to be careful with screens too. Screens with kids is very, very serious subject. But just talking to them every day about like I talk to them through like my process. Like when I'm going on stage, Daddy's nervous. He's like, Dad, you don't look nervous, right? Because we're their superhero. I'm like, well, what does nervous look like to you? What makes you nervous? What doesn't make you nervous? Here's why I'm nervous. I want to deliver value. I want to be the best I can be. And I worked really hard to make this happen. And this doesn't happen overnight. Like, these are all things that we can tell ourselves, by the way, too. It's not just our children. So it's sometimes
by telling children, so we are telling ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's awareness, right? Like just understanding like what it's taken us to again, we don't give ourselves enough grace at all, man. And like when I see my kids, I'm very direct with them. I'm very genuine. I talk to them like I would talk to you. And I think that's too is like, be respectful, treat them as little like human beings and not like a little kid forever, and talk down to them. And, I want to inspire them, but I also want to guide them on a better journey than I had.
Walk me through, you just said something that kind of spike, the difference between pain and suffering.
Yeah. So pain is not a bad thing. Like you and I've had a lot of pain, it's not suffering. We suffer. We create suffer. So when I hired a coach actually for this, they're like, listen, allowing your suffering is different than pain with your children. If your kids they're on the soccer field, they get kicked, they're in pain. Well, they can get up and go play. It's okay to be in pain. You can still play the game. Their legs cracked in half. They're suffering now. Take them off the field. We got to take them to the hospital. I think but again, we got to figure out. So many parents don't allow their kids to go through any pain and struggle, especially with our financial means, maybe. Therefore, we hurt them and we put them in a fake world.
Yes, we're trying to protect the kids, and that's not the way of doing it.
No.
Because then we're gonna send them loose, and they're gonna be completely emotionally like I was 46 years old man. They realize I'm emotionally like a toddler. I'm a little kid. When the first time I had something like serious to me with the ski accident. Yep. So that's why like we have to stop protecting our kids. We got to let them fall and just send them to
absolutely like fall, get hurt, get up instead of grab them. Oh my God, are you okay? Like you're not, I get it, especially the mothers are very good, like they want to coddle them. But the thing is they are literally throwing temper tantrums at 45 years old if they've been raised like that, So I think it's something like where I come from is very old school. Like again, too, like
because we didn't know any better. That's what our parents were doing. That's what our grandparents were doing.
Yep.
For them, it's normal. And then you're like, dude, what is this? This is on a hill pain in our and then like I didn't know how to deal with this. Like, did I just lost my shit? It's like, yeah, I did. And I have to give permission to myself to work on this and just like that's and forgive myself. So.
For sure. I always say we don't have a kid problem, we have a parenting problem.
Because the kids, you see what happened is the kids are a reflection of us. And they bring all the triggers. It's like all the shit we did didn't work. We see it like in our kids. I see it in my daughters. I see it in my son. I'm like, motherfucker. It's like, this is me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I want to give him my conscious level, my awareness, but I'm a 53 years old man. You know what I mean? It took me like a lifetime to learn this stuff, and I'm still learning. So, but we just want to give it to them like as much as possible. So, Mark, thank you, brother.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Mark, tell people where you can tell a little bit about your DM family and Go ahead. We're
Yeah,
gonna
no.
put the links, everything, Mike, on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can check us out anywhere on social media or on the website at markevansdm.com. The DM always stands for deal maker, but truthfully it means dream maker. So for my mom, I always say my mom, I'm the dream maker for my family. But they can check it out. We have a DM family and a DM alliance. If you're an entrepreneur worth generating at least $250,000 a year, that's the people I can best serve with my skills and where we're at and or above. You can check it out on the website, markevansdm.com, and love to chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights on mastering the inner and outer wealth.